just keep on. Why wait till the end of the intro, right? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. This thing on? We have like tin cans in the studio.
We do have tin cans
with
in the studio.
String.
Welcome back. I missed you last Friday.
I missed you too. More importantly, I missed the view. There were so many juicy clips that are now kind of moldy.
I know, and you kept sending them to me.
I couldn't help it. It's like an instinct, like Pavlov's dog. I have to send you cool view clips.
I resisted watching them. I didn't look at them at all.
You didn't cheat on me.
Are you kidding? Of course I watched them. Christian sends me a view clip. Boom. Click.
Click.
In fact, if you wanted to put malicious code on my computer, just send me a view clip, and baby, you've got access to everything.
Better check your credit card statements.
So I missed you last Friday because we had to go do the gubernatorial debate. Well, actually, we didn't even do the debate. We just talked about stuff beforehand, and quite frankly, the view would have been more interesting.
Such is life.
Now, I'm not saying that about David Flaherty, who came in and talked to me about the polling stuff, because David's always fantastic. Mm-hmm. But, this election can't come fast enough and be over fast enough for me.
I have to say, though, this week, I know every day is crazy, but I didn't feel like this week's news cycle was as insane. I think because the Kavanaugh thing.
The Kavanaugh thing was
finally, but there's always something new replacing it. But this week, it felt a little more like.
Well, you had the hurricane. You had Hurricane Michael, which is appropriately named. So you had Hurricane Michael, which it was a bad storm, but my gosh, I get tired of the hype.
Yeah, I mean it's weather, anything weather-wise. I mean even a snowstorm locally gets a lot of coverage. So, but also Nikki Haley resigned. That was a big deal. I mean,
but let's go back to the weather.
Yeah.
Locally, yes.
Okay.
And I know that hurricanes are fascinating, but tornadoes are fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Ice storms, not so fascinating.
Interesting.
I don't know. A wildfire.
Yeah.
So what drives everything about weather that I just described?
Well, the fact that there's a weather channel that exists just speaks to our fascination about it.
The greatest thing I ever did for my father was when I was the undersecretary, I took him to the weather channel. He was on cloud 9.
See?
He was just... They gave him all the swag. He got to sit and watch a couple of the programs and stuff. He thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I had a roommate in college, and this is like 20 plus years ago, who was obsessed with the weather and gave us the updates and watched the weather. Whatever was watching, he'd watch it.
But now I think what drives it, visuals. It's so easy because you got the NOAA hurricane guys flying over, so you get their cameras. Then you get, I watched a stupid video today of, maybe it was Joe Bastardi, but actually saving an NBC weather guy or news guy who was being blown into oblivion from the wind. And Bastardi, they're all, on the same beach. And if you pan out far enough, you can see all of the different crews. But this poor guy was maybe he was a lightweight or something, maybe only weighed 80 pounds. You get in 80, 100 mile an hour winds. Guess what? You get blown away. And Bastardi comes over and saves his butt.
I do like that. I mean, it is visually powerful. Having said that, the media is so crooked in these days is that when they have a lot of other video that is great video, you don't see it in the news. You don't see the Portland Antifa groups, ravaging X, Y, and Z. There are so many things that are fascinating that I see across my Twitter feed that just don't make it into the news, even though visually it's super powerful.
Something happened in Portland?
It's just my imagination. I'm sorry. I was just using it as an example of a possible.
I mean, I can't imagine. It would seem to me that if something happened in Portland and there was a mob that, was beating up on people's cars and all that would be on the NBC Nightly News. And since I didn't see it, it didn't happen.
It didn't exist. Clearly. I'm wrong. I made a mistake about that. Or that doofus who did the roundhouse kick on someone and got in trouble for that. Again, you've got the video. It's compelling. The media won't go near it because the narrative is wrong.
Well, but there's an exception to the guy that did the roundhouse kick of the woman. They didn't show that because he had a man bun.
Oh, maybe that's good.
Yeah.
Maybe that
was very good.
Yeah.
Because I was all into it. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. Until he swung around just enough I could see his scraggly, dirty hair and the man bun. And then I thought, this isn't news.
Of all the hairstyles in the world in the last 30, 40 years, I feel like the man bun got hip and cool and went away the quickest. I'm glad. Don't you think?
Have you not been out in public lately?
You still see him?
Oh, my God.
I don't see that.
It's so bad that, if we're in a restaurant with friends or even just me and Tamara, we cannot help but point out, hey, check, 11 o'clock, man bun. And then we just mock it mercilessly.
I used to think that MB was for Michael Brown. Now it's man bun.
Man bun.
Or beards. Remember like a year and a half ago, the super aggressive in your face, down to your toes beard was hip and everywhere. Now it's much less.
Some of our friends, their sons still have those beards, and I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Here's God's great sense of humor. All those guys that have man buns will develop male pattern baldness.
Right there.
And where that man bun used to sit will soon look just like this, and there won't be nothing there.
Grow them where you have them, right?
How are the kids? Did the kids miss me last week?
Oh, they're good. They're darlings. They're so sweet, little angelic faces.
I just try to get you wound up. See, before we get into the first story, I just try to pick on every little thing I can think of.
I know,
to
all
get
my
you agitated, and as soon as I get you agitated, then we'll go to one of these stories.
You know all my exposed nerves. By the way, my kids, they come home like, can we do more homework, honey? Dad, can we please? I'm like, kids, come on, go out and play. No. We've got to do more homework. It's Rockwell.
I know what you do. You force them onto YouTube. You make those little kids sit there on their little mini iPads, and you make them watch YouTube.
They show me stuff on YouTube that I love. There's something called Bat Dad. It's about a father with like a really gravelly Batman-esque voice, and he does like these goofy videos. It's good stuff. I pray they don't fall into the darker side of YouTube, and I try to watch as much as they're watching, but
you mean
now,
like starting to video you and then having their own channel about you
gosh.
and what you do?
Oh, that's coming. I can't wait for that.
So where do you want to start? Because we got a couple of great clips. Our token conservative, since we're using the word token a lot this week, the token conservative, Meghan McCain, has made her debut back on The View. Where do you want to go?
Let's start there.
Okay,
she's back.
Why not?
Yeah.
Megan's back.
And saucier than ever.
Does this mean the funeral's over? What,
just the first season.
Too soon? Too soon? This season.
With all due respect to Senator McCain, I do love that joke because it does play. It's more about the media and the sort of the fake adulation for someone who was a maverick. If he had been a rock rib conservative and blasted the Democrats at every turn, you would not have seen that adulation. And that has nothing to do with him. He is who he was. But by golly, that was...
I also would add that it wasn't just about the media adulation. It was about his planning for the funeral, that he managed to stretch it out into 14 days or something. I mean, this was the old who was the king of Spain that Chevy Chase used to on Weekend Update is still
Ferdinand,
dead.
Or no, I know what you mean. I'm drawing a blank on the name now.
Somebody anyway, King of Spain's dead or something.
Mea culpa.
Mea culpa. Tell me about Meghan.
Well, it's a quick clip. It's not, this isn't that we've had so many great clips, but I want to reintroduce her back into our show. But also the sad thing and the good thing is that Joy Behar is not here at the moment. So,
where's Joy? Is she?
She could be on vacation. Who knows? But Meghan kind of tries to throw her on the bus and says, I wish you were here to defend herself, but here's a real hypocritical moment in Miss Behar's narrative.
When he said to who's the Al Franken, you should have stayed. You got out too soon.
Trump said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trump said that? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, that was a couple of days ago. He said, if you just denied, you should have denied it.
Man.
That's a lot of crosstalk.
That is 15 seconds into this, and there's just, I didn't understand any of that.
You got Trump, you got Franken, you got 4 people at least talking.
I'm sorry, I got to back it up.
To be fair, this is their first season, maybe the first 6 episodes, so they're getting into the rhythm, the cadence of things. Oh, wait.
Right. They'll eventually figure this out, right?
After season 20-something, they'll get it.
Angie, we're not done. Angie,
we were blathering on for half the segment. Come on. That's our fault.
Right,
Your fault.
Crosstalk. This is crosstalk here. Crosstalk. Welcome back to Hollywood and Toto. Hollywood Hollywood's here. Mr. Hollywood is here.
Fred Hollywood.
Fred Hollywood. Fred Hollywood Toto. Follow Christian on Twitter, at Hollywood and Toto, and be sure and go to his website, hollywoodandtoto.com, and sign up for his pithy little emails that he sends out that tells you what to do and not do, and what movies to see and not see. And we went to see, by the way, before we get back to The View,
Yeah.
I just have to throw this because I have a movie reviewer here, right? So this is my
In theory.
opportunity. This is in theory, right? In theory, I mean, somewhat in practice.
Sure.
So the daughter and the wife were just determined to go see A Star Is Born. So the four of us packed up in the car, had lunch, went to see A Star Is Born, and
There's a raised eyebrow here.
it was unanimously panned. Even
Whoa.
the wife and the daughter were like, okay, this started out like we think this is going to be good, and it crashed and burned within the first 20 minutes.
I will say that I love the first 20 minutes, and then I thought it sort of settled in and got formulaic and less exciting.
Formulaic? How about predictable?
Well, it's a shop-worn story, so I get that.
Yes.
I'm surprised,
is this
though.
the sixth or seventh version now?
Fourth version.
Fourth? Oh,
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah,
Only four?
that's right.
Okay, so you had this one. You had Barbara Streisand. Then you had
Judy Garland and
Judy
James
Garland.
Mason.
Yeah, Judy Garland. Who was the first?
Frederick March and Janet Gaynor, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, from the 37, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
memory serves. I thought it was very good. I thought it definitely tailed off. I thought the beginning was exceptional, and then it kind of just became good.
I thought
I'm surprised.
I thought the acting and the music at the beginning was exceptional, but it didn't kind of, as you said, it went off the cliff.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I want you to enjoy your movie experience.
But what I loved about it,
I'm just glad I didn't recommend it directly.
Right. The thing I loved about it the most was that the two that insisted the hardest that we all go see it were the worst critics of the movie.
Well, maybe they were expecting too much, or maybe they were too excited. I don't know. By the way, First Man opens this weekend. Good film. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, in fact, I should go see that this weekend because Tamara's at the undisclosed location. And you know what she said to me the other day?
I want a divorce?
In fact, this is what I love about this segment. We're going to get back to The View in a minute. We know exactly where we are. We haven't lost our
locked
place.
in.
We're going to get right back to The View. But maybe it was at the our screening of A Star Is Born or Lady Gaga Dies on Screen. I forget what the name of it was. But First Man, the trailer comes on. Tamara leans over. I refuse to see that movie.
Because the flag?
And I said, why? She goes, because of the whole flag issue.
I will say this.
Okay.
I would gently disagree with her. I understand what was going on. It was a creative choice in my eyes to not show it. Maybe it's too obvious. The way the movie is two things. One, it's not a very mainstream movie in that it doesn't follow the usual biopic beats.
Yeah.
It feels different. Having said that,
well, I'm going to see it.
Yeah, there are definitely flags. A lot they've seen.
It's not like we only see Russian flags or something.
Exactly. You see flags in minor shots and major shots, but more importantly, it does say that this is an American effort to beat the Soviets. This is something that is critical to what we were doing at the time.
Oh, because I thought one of the critics' one of the critical points of it was that they kept talking how this was like an international effort.
That was what Ryan Gosling, the actor who's starring in the movie, kind of sort of hinted at when he was asked about it. Well, this was a sheep. Like, it was a very woke comment. And I think that's what really fueled this whole controversy. The lack of a flag in that specific moment,
and then
his
him making
comments,
a dumbass comment.
It was a 1-2 punch, and I get it. But I think conservatives, I think they pounced on this one, and I don't think it was completely fair.
Okay. Well, I fully intend to see it because I like the trailer and I like the story. Well, I shouldn't say I like the story. I like historically what happened. So naturally, I have to go see it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is about him, his journey, his mission. But all those elements, they're there, honestly. There's a speech by JFK that's critical to man's space flight. I think that's overblown. So
good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Okay. I may sneak around maybe tomorrow and go do that.
Bring your dog.
Bring the dog. We need a dog-friendly theme.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greta could just crawl up in the seat next to me and start snoring, and then people could start, hey, shut up down there.
Bring a squirrel.
A squirrel. The View. Is that where we were?
We were.
When he said to who's the Al Franken, you should have stayed. You know, you got out too soon.
Trump said that?
Yes.
I remember
Said you
that.
should, oh, no, that was a couple of days ago. He said, you know, if you just denied, you should have denied it.
You were where you needed. You were where you needed to be.
Yeah.
You know.
But also,
That's some of the best crosstalk ever.
It may be the best.
There's nothing in there.
He said, you know, if you just denied, you should have denied it.
You were where you needed.
It's almost like Angie
hurts to
when
listen.
it's like when Angie put the clip together, she just sped it up or did something right there.
He said, you know, if you just denied, you should have denied it.
You were where you needed. You were where you needed to be.
yeah.
You know.
But also, Joy has also said that Al Franken should come back in. Like, she has publicly on the show many times. We've gotten in conversations about it. So this is where things get tricky. As a conservative woman, I don't speak for all conservatives, but okay, so Al Franken, who assaulted, by the way, my friend, Leanne Sweden, and there are photos of it, he should be allowed back into Senate. And again, Joy can come back here. She's more than capable of defending herself. But that's okay. But for conservative women, there's a different standard. And I think the problem with all this that we talked about many times is that the goalpost keeps getting moved. And we need to know if it means Al Franken's allowed to come back.
Well, but Al Franken left. He took himself out. He took
Joy
himself out
wanted
and
to take
said,
the moral high ground.
Well,
Democrats want to take the moral high
Joy
ground.
said he should come back and that it should.
Well,
it was not. I don't remember exact quote.
But he hasn't been coming back. And the
Couple thoughts. I saw the video of this,
Yeah.
and Sunny Hostin's smugness when she says we're trying to get the moral high ground. It was enough to. I don't know how I kept everything in my stomach from coming up. It was really bad. But you got other thoughts.
No, I'm just thinking, I'm not sure Al Franken took himself
No, he
out.
didn't. The pressure kept building and building,
Yes.
and he had no other choice.
He had no other choice.
Yeah, he didn't.
I mean,
bow
he could have
aggressively.
chosen to not take himself out, and there would have been holy hell to pay.
Yeah.
Michael will be right back after he catches up on The View.
He's actually listening to us tonight. She's woke. So on Thursday, Kanye goes to the White House.
Remember Elvis Presley and Nixon?
Yeah.
This is like the sequel.
Except that I don't remember Elvis actually almost crawling across the Resolute desk to kind of jump into the president's lap. Kanye was like, and did you see James Brown sitting there next to him? James Brown sitting there, like, wait, what, 280 pounds, still Mr. Tough Guy, sitting there. And Kanye's got his phone. He's like halfway across the desk. Trump's kind of got the big eyes going. Kanye's got his phone out. And it's like, whoa.
This is an entertaining White House. Say
Entertaining
what you
White
will.
House. So anyway, Kanye goes to the Oval Office with James Brown. But earlier in the week, we had a little kerfuffle. It was on CNN, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Of course it was CNN.
This is sadly CNN. They should have James Earl Jones recut that.
That's right.
Just do a series of.
Well, according to Ted Turner that I watched on CBS Sunday Morning, week before last, they did an interview with Ted Turner. I actually felt sorry for him.
Well, he's
sick.
dementia, right?
Yeah, he's sick. He's frail. And then they asked him, I think it was Ted Koppel was interviewing him, and they started talking about CNN. And he actually said, I can barely watch it anymore. It's
Wow.
it's too much politics, and it's too one-sided.
Real?
And
I didn't.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? I heard
Because-
generally about the interview, but I didn't hear that.
Well, you think they're going to repeat that, and that there's really not a lot of journalism going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
He sounds pretty darn cogent to me. I mean, my
I
goodness.
was going to say, whatever this disease is, it's a form of Lou Gehrig's or something like that.
Oh.
But he just looked old and frail, but, he's still riding horses, and he was
Good.
very cogent, I thought.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, CNN. Let's get James Earl Jones back.
That's right.
What would James Earl Jones say now?
Oh, this is a banana, not CNN or something. I don't know.
Okay, so on CNN, you want to set this up?
I mean, they're talking about Kanye West. This is before the White House visit, but just how active he is, his Saturday Night Live appearance, the fact that he's supporting Trump, the fact that he is not exactly echoing the thoughts of 98% of celebrities in the culture right now, and they've got to take him to task.
Every time I try to explain there are three races, Caucasian, Mongoloid, and Negroid. Every time I say the word either Mongoloid, I cringe a little because I think, okay, which makes me mad at myself because people go, oh my gosh, you can't say that word.
But it's a clinical term.
It's a clinical term. Or you say the word Negroid, and I think to myself, oh my gosh, somebody's saying, well, apparently it's perfectly legitimate to say that someone's a token Negro.
Game on.
Game on.
STEM programs and how we needed to have more STEM programs and had to turn around.
First of all, just CNN talking about STEM programs, I kind of find that funny.
Don Lemon's the host. I don't think this is him speaking right now, but you'll hear him soon.
And ask his colleague, what did STEM mean? And so Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read. And we have this now, and now Donald Trump is going.
Do you hear the giggle?
Oh yeah. Oh, it gets keep going.
Going to use it and pervert it, and he's going to have somebody who can stand with him and take pictures.
They can't stop laughing. There's about 4 seconds there of just laughter.
I know, that's why I brought this clip in. That's exactly it.
Just looking at Scott's face. Scott's like, whoa, okay. So
it's a Chris Rock reference, by the way, Scott. Go back and watch the old Chris Rock stand-ups from the 90s.
Maybe
I will look that up.
I know that.
That's gold.
It's
gold.
Gold.
Absolute gold right there.
Yeah. A couple of thoughts. One, I'm not totally on Kanye's bandwagon.
No, me either.
I think I think he's word salad on steroids at times.
He's word salad, and from a PR point of view, he knows exactly what he's doing.
I agree. I mean, I can accept that, but I'm not going to just jump in with him just because he's saying what I want to say ideologically.
Right.
Also, I do remember him saying that George Bush hates black people, which was just a disgusting thing to say.
Did he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, with Mike Myers. Mike Myers sitting next to him, looking
that.
ashen as he had. I know.
Was it when he and I blew up the levees to kill all those black people?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Your hand was here. And
I may have heard something about that.
Yeah.
We were both with like those old dynamite things.
That's right.
And we were looking at each other and we were going like 3, 2, 1. Ha!
Exactly. So there's that. And also, I mean, the broken English. Listen. Some people aren't reared in a way that they speak properly. I make mistakes myself sometimes. Probably this last half hour. But I don't want to just agree with him. But on the other hand, two things. One, there are celebrities who are monumentally dumb when it comes to their political conversations, and yet they never get picked on. They never get X-rayed. They never get called out for how stupid they are. And two,
I picked on Emma Gonzalez on Thursday.
There you go.
Yeah.
But if you had talked about Kanye, maybe during that Bush year, and said he needs to read, he's a blah, 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 Negro, all heck would have broke loose. It would have been a wall-to-wall apology tour. You would have been chased out of the industry. And so that they can say this and chuckle for about half an hour, give or take, is amazing, I thought.
Let's hang on. I want to do
STEM programs and how we needed to have more STEM programs and had to turn around and ask his colleague, what did STEM mean?
Okay. Again, I'm not trying to justify it, but I bet you and I could go out on the street.
Oh, yeah.
And ask 25 people, what does STEM stand for? And they would go, well, it's like, like a tree branch. They don't know what it stands for.
Also, if you don't have kids, you might be sort of out of the loop.
Right.
Also, CNN doesn't know what a mob is. And mob is 3 letters, and it's pretty obvious to see. And the fact that they've been denying it all week and probably for the next 2 weeks, I don't think that speaks well of their collective intelligence.
No. Then there's this.
And so Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read.
I love that. That is so unbelievably funny, but it's also unbelievable
condescending.
Mm-hmm. I could make an argument that it's racist. It's just CNN that's playing to an audience that has probably never read anything, that just sits and watches CNN all day.
In the fetal position.
In the fetal position. So Dave Rubin and I, we were talking the other night. He took a month off from everything, social media and everything. And he said the hardest part was going to the gym and seeing CNN on the TV monitors and trying, because it's on, it shows the closed captioning.
Yeah.
So he'd have to put his head down. or going to the airport as he was traveling around, CNN. It's like it's ubiquitous everywhere. And I'm just thinking, did anybody like sitting in an airport, sitting there going, watching it, and all of a sudden go, oh, wow. They just said that Kanye is just a dumb Negro that doesn't read.
Yeah. Ooh. Unbelievable. CNN. Just imagine what they'll be like in 2 years when Trump's running for your election. The cartoonish imbalances, the wild attacks.
Oh, Jim Acosta will just be. I mean, they'll have to put it like. Speaking of STEM, they'll put some sort of STEM thing in his heart to keep it beating, or what? They'll have to.
And I don't like the whole "this is racist, that is racist." I think we've blurred that whole line to where almost anything is racist.
No, almost everything.
But that is ugly. Can we say that's ugly?
Totally
and
ugly.
Condescending.
Yeah.
And if the roles were reversed and he was, touting the glories of the Obama administration, they would attack him mercilessly for saying what he just said.
Oh, totally. Oh my! I'm so glad you're back.
I'm regretting it.
You're listening to The Michael Brown Show.
Hey, welcome back to Hollywood and Toto on the Michael Brown Show. Be sure and follow Christian on Twitter at Hollywood and Toto. If you're going to follow Christian, could you follow me at Michael Brown USA? So on Wednesday, you wrote a story, H. Wood's silence. I assume you meant Hollywood, but you didn't have. You wanted it to like be kind of symmetrical.
The Google gods don't like long headlines,
right,
as I've learned.
So H. Wood's silence on Clinton's final #MeToo straw. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Did the kids write that?
That's right. Ben, come here. I need some help.
I need a headline.
I got 45 characters. What can you do for me?
That's right.
All right, hold on, Dad. I'll put down my tablet. This drives me crazy. And I know a lot of what we do is double standards and the hypocrisy of Hollywood, but we just saw Hollywood essentially go to war with Brett Kavanaugh. And in a just disgusting way, absolutely assuming without a shadow of a doubt that he was guilty and is a horrible human being. As we heard from weeks from Hollywood. Not just one actor, two actor, three. I mean, just a lot of them. Reese Witherspoon. I mean, a lot of people, even people you don't often think of as very political.
People that you think are generally a little quieter.
Exactly. Disgusting. And yet, Bill Clinton announces his speaking tour with the missus, where you have to pay up to $700 plus to listen to him speak. I'm thinking, my goodness gracious, really? Do we not know what he was up to?
Well, I thought we knew what he was up to. And then this week, Hillary came out and said that there's a difference between what Bill did and what Kavanaugh did. And so I listened to it several times very closely and I was enlightened by that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in a higher place right now.
Yes.
Well,
so
Hollywood
it took a little meth, a little weed, a little alcohol,
right.
But I got there.
You
got
there.
Yeah.
Little push, little shove. What's amazing about Hollywood right now, look at the industry. So James Franco has had multiple accusations that he did something wrong behind the scenes. He's still working constantly. Alec Baldwin has admitted to bullying women and not treating them well. He can't work any harder. He told, I think, the Hollywood Reporter said, I'm busier than ever at 60.
Right.
At an age where maybe after the gig starts
and
slowing
yelling
down.
At that gay photographer, whatever it was on the street.
I mean, meltdown after meltdown. He is just his whole past is chock-a-block with disastrous situations. And then you've got Keith Ellison, who's accused of being abusive by a woman with more proof than Christine Blasey Ford ever served up to anyone. And then you think about Bill Clinton, the person that they couldn't wait to get back in the White House via Hillary. They don't say a word about him. They don't say a word about his tour. They don't say a word about what he was up to, how wrong it was. They don't even have the decency to say, we were wrong. We shouldn't have rallied around him. He should have resigned based on all the things he did.
The funny thing, it's not funny, I guess, but
not ha-ha funny.
Yeah, not ha-ha funny. But we're going to reach back to Brett Kavanaugh when he was in high school and his early years in college. But we're not going to reach back to essentially the same time period when Bill Clinton wasn't in high school, wasn't in college, was in the Oval Office. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to touch that one.
Not with a 10-foot pole. It's just amazing. You know, when we talked last year about Harvey Weinstein and the whole scandal and the Me Too movement's birth, I thought, well, that does it. Hollywood can't get political anymore.
Right.
They must have so much shame built into their lives, thinking, we covered this up, we didn't report it, we didn't speak out. We have to take a moment to just reflect on what we did wrong and never do it again. And they got right back on that horse and said, hey, we're going to wag our fingers at you 24/7. They're still doing it. And I'm sure there's still stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm hoping it's less. I'm just aghast at it. And no one talks about this at all, and especially not the Hollywood reporters and the deadlines and the Wraps and all these different organizations that are meant to cover Hollywood. They don't say a word about the science. Now, I get this whole thing. You don't have to necessarily speak out against every injustice in the world. You know, if there's a murder down the street, you shouldn't yell at me for not tweeting about how horrible it was. I get that. But when the industry has a collective voice against Brett Kavanaugh and has zero voice against Bill Clinton, that's something.
Because there's a cultural divide, there's a cultural war, and they've taken their side, and they are incapable of critical thinking. They are incapable of self-awareness. They are inflicted with cognitive dissonance, and nothing's going to change.
The thing is, the victim of all this is going to be the Me Too movement because it's been so connected to Hollywood because that's where it began.
Right.
You're going to think and say, wait a minute. They're judging one person on the flimsiest of evidence, ignoring all these other people with far greater pieces of evidence. What's missing here? What's going on? Why should I believe them? And by the way, and I mentioned this in my story, just because James Franco was accused of X, Y, and Z doesn't mean he's guilty. It means he was accused of it.
Right.
We don't know the whole story. And, but we don't know the whole story about Kavanaugh either, but it looks like there's almost zero information that says he did what he did, and lots of information that suggests he didn't do anything.
I think it does at some point. It doesn't necessarily destroy the Me Too movement within that faction of the cultural war, but it destroys it within those who are not necessarily that involved in it, but are observing it from a modicum of some distance. I think it destroys all credibility with people who are not of that geolocation. Which, when I say Hollywood, I don't necessarily mean just
No.
Burbank, but
Celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, the late night shows and Saturday Night Live were brutal on Kavanaugh. Has there been a skit about Bill Clinton going out on tour and getting all this money? They're not going to say a word about that. Or the fact that she was so protective of him, and the fact that bimbo eruptions is a phrase we know because of what he was up to.
You know, I haven't looked. Somebody else made a comment to me at dinner about the late night comedians, and I got to go look. But it was something about the ad agencies are going to continue to buy the ads on those shows, irrespective of how the numbers are dropping off, simply because they think it's cool to play to that audience.
But even if the balance sheet doesn't prove it out.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, totally amazing.
The Michael Brown Show continues after this.